Hey, folks, you're here with X, you're here with Kyle, Felicia, and guess who this guy is? For people that are listening on audio, you're not going to know who it is until you hear the buttery voice coming from him.
Buttery.
I even called you...
I've lost 13 pounds, I'll have you know. I'm not buttery anymore.
I was going to ask, did you lose weight?
I have,
like
yes.
You're not B-word.
I'm not B-word. I'm not B-fat anymore.
I'd like to eat butter.
Oh, believe me, I'm still fat, but I'm working on it.
I kind of have to just accept it at this point.
The liquor ain't helping. Tell you that.
It never does. Well, I mean, it does. It helps with everything.
It helps.
But
So we have the Admiral with us. We have Kerry Jackson from X96's Radio from Hell show and from GeekshowPodcast.com. And if it's not part of your podcast repertoire,
it should be.
What the fuck are you doing wrong? If you like us, and
you're podcasting wrong. That's what you're doing.
I
Exactly.
loved your Black Panther panel.
Oh, that was so fun.
My God.
That was so fun. It was an honor to be a part of that. And those guys came in and just they not only schooled me, but they schooled everybody. And I've had so many people comment on it. They go, "I get it now. I get it now." And I'm like, I'm glad. At the same time, I'm kind of sad that it took that. But I'm glad that we're helping.
Like, how did you not get it before?
Well, some people just don't think about it.
They don't get out their bubble.
Well, yeah, because you don't have to think about it.
Yeah,
Because you're a white guy.
Well, exactly. Well, and that's the thing is that when somebody says I don't understand what white privilege is, I said exactly.
That's
Congratulations.
congratulations. You've just understood what white privilege is.
When you get up,
you don't have to think about it.
When you get up in the morning, do you have to worry about your drive to work?
Yeah.
No, you don't, because you're not going to be pulled over.
My white male friends here don't have to worry about coming and visiting my neighborhood because the neighborhood watch, I put that in quotes because it's not official, put out a warning like, be aware of suspicious black men. I'm like, that's lovely. That's real.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jesus.
He also put out a warning about Muslims overtaking our neighborhoods.
Right.
Not a joke.
Oh yeah, that guy should be not your
Neighborhood
watch.
He's not. He's not.
Yeah,
officially.
he's not, but
Because he has a harassment conviction for following teenagers on a walking path taking pictures of them trying to prove that they were smoking marijuana.
Oh my.
Yeah, he's a bad person.
Mr.
This is everywhere.
When the fuck did George Zimmerman move to your neighborhood?
Yeah, I was going to go with a more
probably relevant.
I was going to go Barney Fife, but that's better.
Yeah. Mr. Crime Fighter right there.
Guns. He has guns. Everyone
Stopping
knows.
the kids smoking the pot.
He probably carries it with him in the obvious fanny pack that you guys see.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like, oh no, those...
Well, I'm happy to have you guys here in Dink Studios.
Well, we're happy to be here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank
Cheers.
you for coming. Oh yes,
cheers.
Now tell me about this vodka that I'm drinking. You guys are having the brown liqueurs.
Yes.
Yeah.
While I can.
The Iceland vodka, the Icelandic vodka, it was on a shelf.
Oh.
And
it's on a shelf, and I went, it's from Iceland.
Well, when Felicia said I'll bring vodka, she goes, do you have any specific kind? I said, it's just not in a plastic bottle. Anything?
Yeah.
I was going to bring the vodka we keep around my house, which is a $30 potato, and he's like, no, we're buying something nicer. I'm like, it's a perfectly good vodka.
I'm good with a $30
I don't know.
potato.
How is it?
This is very good, yes.
That's
I
nice.
quite
That's
like
good
it.
to hear.
So there we go.
The Icelandic people, thank you for your contribution.
I'm always looking forward to anytime I can get to a Costco outside of the state. We were talking about this a little bit before the camera and the mic came on.
Yes.
But their vodka is just
the Kirkland
delightful.
vodka.
It's delightful.
From what I understand, it's made by the same people that make Grey Goose or something.
Yeah,
like
they
that.
do that or the same recipe.
Grey Goose.
Yeah. The same recipe, same way that they do it. I mean, if distilling liquor is not a fucking magic.
It's if hillbillies can do it, then
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
liquor doesn't come with a sense of terroir, for sure.
Certainly the people of Iceland have worked on it, clearly.
Yes. Well, they need something to do.
Yes, they do.
I'll have to give it a try. I want to. Vodka is supposed to be a neutral liquor, so.
Oh, here.
Well, and I hadn't even
Yes.
I haven't even thought about the whole Russia aspect of things. Like we're very pro Russian people. We like the Russian people, but their government is fucked up way too many times lately.
Now, see that Speyburn, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a nice.
Yeah.
That's a nice Scotch. That is nice.
I'm really enjoying it.
Anyway,
Okay.
Where do we begin?
Oh, I like talking about liquor. That's
We talk about liquor and wine and cheese.
and-
That's what we do on this show. And sex.
Hey, where we go? Hey.
So
Hey, that fan of the show, John, I'm not going to use his last name because I don't have permission, but he's like messaging me. He's like, oh, I loved your conversation on orgasms this last time. I'm like, thanks, buddy.
Like, no, that doesn't come across creepy at all.
Not at all. Not at all. No, that's fine. Yeah.
People are hungry for open conversations
Right,
about something
right.
that's so common.
Well, we had that one discussion a couple of months back where we were talking about, somebody wrote us a very, very explicit email about, the things that they like.
we were talking about masturbation.
Yeah, and we were talking about how,
It was it was the story.
it was the lady that didn't want to be named.
The lady that didn't want to be named, but who needed mechanical assistance after.
Yeah.
To put it that way.
She said, don't take it personally
Right.
if a lady finishes up after you're done.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there's apparently a lot of people that take very much offense to that. And I'm just like,
Really?
No.
whatever works
Not-
for you.
not-
I mean,
I'm just
not
happy to be
everybody-
here.
thank you for including me. That's been
Right,
great.
right. We're in the room. You're included. You're part of this.
But even though I age restricted that video, it's gotten a lot of hits because
Yeah.
people are just starving to talk about that kind of stuff, I think.
Interesting.
Especially from people in Utah. They're like, oh, what are these prudes going to
Yeah.
say? And they're like, Lordy, I can't believe they've talked about that.
You can
She
talk
just
about
talk about
this?
writing groups?
Oh my god.
Think about the culture. I mean, and I've talked with people about this.
Yeah.
They're just not taught,
No.
and they don't know where to ask other than porn.
Oh,
and
that's
porn.
not-
yeah, it's
not
not an
reality.
It's
No.
not an instruction manual. It's
It was never meant to be an
No.
instruction
No.
manual. It was the sex that you see in porn doesn't feel good. It's for
No.
show. It's not. It's a job. They're performance artists.
Very mechanical.
anyway.
Well, depending on what you're watching.
Sometimes literally it's
Yeah,
mechanical.
exactly. Yeah,
Whatever you're into.
All right, so we're going to do a couple of news items before we get into interviews because
Sure.
it's more fun to loosen up a bit before jumping straight into like, so tell me about this, tell me about that.
Let's talk about how terrible the world is.
Okay.
Yay.
All right, so this first one that we have comes from LGBTQ Nation. Great
right.
website for this kind of resource. A leader in the Southern Baptist Convention.
Oh, there.
Oh.
Joy.
Yeah, he resigned earlier this week.
Hang on. Should we take predictions on where this
I
is
was
going?
just gonna say. Okay,
I
I'm gonna
wonder.
say gay. Definitely.
Well, they left that detail out, but he did resign because of morally inappropriate relationship that he was having outside
yeah,
his marriage.
yeah,
And-
yeah, He's gay.
I mean, we could do one of these a week.
I was
usually.
like, this happens so much.
Yeah. Gee, I wonder why.
So Frank Page was the president and the CEO of the SBC. If your church has to have a fucking CEO,
Yeah.
Okay,
that's
then that's
wrong.
not.
That's not
the
a
problem.
church; it's
That's
a
not
business.
yeah.
And
That's,
so, yes, I have a problem with the local establishment as well with that
Oh.
kind of a thing.
I feel like we've talked about that a lot, though.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Like
It's
who owns the
come up.
checkbook? Actually, I don't even know who I know they changed leadership recently, but I don't fucking know who it is. Is
they
it
gotta-
Dallin? Dallin Oaks? Did he get made?
Prophet?
Maybe.
Is he the made man?
Aren't they required to have a letter initial as their first name?
H. Dallin?
I think that's part of the deal, isn't it? You
Yeah.
have to.
Yeah.
Exactly. I would be K. Jack Jackson.
Ugh.
F and Megan and Twistle. That does not flow. That's terrible.
You know, I don't think I ever heard Felicia's middle name until right now.
Is that right?
Megan's my middle name.
Megan.
It's not even on like most of my legal forms. I never ever like interact. I don't like hate it, but I don't have any feelings towards it. So I just ignore it most of the time.
I would be K-Joe. That just sounds wrong.
I'm with it. So Frank Page, as I was
Cage
talking
it.
about, he resigned a couple weeks ago, and initially he said he was just retiring. But then the chair of the executive committee released a statement damning him on this. Like, he was out the door. He was retired. He's like, okay, I made it through quietly. And this guy's like, yeah, right, asshole. So he said, today I spoke with Dr. Page and learned that his retirement announcement was precipitated in a morally inappropriate relationship in the recent past. This news will, we understand, bring great sorrow, and I have shared with the executive committee officers what Dr. Page shared with me, including his repentance and deep regret that his actions have caused pain for others. If it's causing pain for others, you're doing it wrong.
No one should have.
More lube, please.
Lubricate and ease into it.
Well, unless that's their
And openly
thing.
communicate.
Yeah,
Talk about where you're at.
Communicate.
Check in.
Yeah. How you doing? Doing
Yeah.
okay?
Is this
All
good?
right?
Yeah,
Is this all right?
consistent consent, right? You know,
What
Exactly.
do you want?
Yes.
Yeah, it's great.
what's the term they use? The enthusiastic consent. Yes,
Yes.
not just like okay.
If you like it, make noise.
That's always so romantic when it starts that way.
Right.
Man.
Oh god.
So then Dr. Page released a statement of his own saying, out of a desire to protect my family, you know, because you obviously gave two fucks about them before that whole thing happened, you know,
Yeah.
and those that I have hurt, I initially announced my retirement earlier today without a complete explanation. However, after further wrestling with my personal indiscretion, it became apparent to me that this situation must be acknowledged in a more forthright manner. It is my most earnest desire in the days to come to rebuild the fabric of trust with my wife and daughters, those who know me best and love me the most. Probably not anymore.
No.
Your wife and daughters, huh?
Yeah.
That's just and that just comes from people not being honest with themselves, you know?
Right. It's toxic.
You know? And
It's toxic inwardly and outwardly.
Yeah.
I mean, we're speculating that he's gay. And
course,
maybe
but-
maybe it was a mistress, I don't know. But that's just someone not being honest with themselves, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then conversely being honest with the people around you.
And to me, it just codes gay when you're hearing this
Yeah.
because they're not saying had a mistress or had an affair or something like that.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, inappropriate something. It's like,
Well, with the whole Me Too movement, it could have been that he like sexually
Did
assaulted
somebody in
somebody
his
too.
own-
Oh, yeah,
Could
that's
be.
entirely possible
Yeah.
as well.
But see, they should have put it in their press release because now people are speculating.
yeah,
Right.
it just looks
Well,
even worse.
Yeah, it goes on a scale from like consensual but outside of marriage
Yeah.
adults to all the way to it happens all the time in religion. Did he fuck a kid? Like we've seen it over and over. So
Yeah.
Now, see, the Southern Baptist Convention, I mean, they've been around for a long time. And I've not kept up with them. My
Yeah,
my
I've no
first
idea.
exposure to them, though, was actually positive. It was one of my first radio gig. Was the little tiny station in Spanish Fork. It's the Krishna station now.
Ah, yeah.
Oh,
But we were
Yeah.
my first job was for free. I got to go in on Sunday mornings, 6 to noon, and play God shows. And one of the God shows was called On Track, and it came on a record, and it was quite cool because it was hi, as your host. Brother John Rivers was his name, and he had this great radio voice, you know, and he was I'm Brother John Rivers. I got a message for you about Jesus, but first, here's Chicago. And then he'd play, a Chicago song. And then he'd come on after the Chicago song and says, when Chicago talks about that Saturday in the park, do you think, and he weaves you down this story about, being good people. And that's what Jesus said, and it was really subtle, and I really enjoyed that because it was just really subtle, but it was more about being a good person. And I thought, and it's brought to you by the Southern Baptist Convention. I'm your host, Brother John Rivers, and it was a good message. And then something happens along the way. I mean, Brother John had great stories about being a good person, and then it just all kind of falls apart. And that's when you get this kind of a situation where the wife and daughters and the people that are in their club, you let them all down.
yeah. Well, and it feels like it's gone more and more authoritarian so much in behavior, and I mean, especially since gay rights has become popular and recognized. I feel like there's a backlash in the religious movement of a lot more religions are going far more authoritarian and what behaviors are acceptable, what gender roles look like. And so, we're seeing a lot of these toxic behaviors manifest in people being hurt.
Well, and what's odd is that it's not what the leader of your fan club is telling you to do. Jesus didn't hate gay people. He didn't hate anybody.
Supposedly didn't hate anybody, right?
He loved everybody. That was his thing. And then
He did say to sell your cloak and buy a sword.
well, there was
Well,
that.
there was that.
And that whole yelling at a fig tree for not having
Yeah,
fruit in the wrong
yeah,
season.
He was a weird character, is what
Okay.
we're saying.
He was an oddball, but he meant well.
But
Overall.
like Brother John Rivers, 95% of the time he was, maybe there. But then the fan club members are the ones who kind of screw it up, I guess.
Well, I think that
Anyway.
I think it comes from a genuine confusion in the doctrine as well. It's a hard book to interpret because
It is.
terrible because it's
Yeah.
terrible.
Well, it's
I mean,
not
it's poorly
you know,
written. I mean,
It's poorly written.
it's a bad story, and not that I disagree with it morally a lot, but I also think that it's ancient storytelling, which is difficult to interpret in a modern sense because we've moved away from that style so much, and the moral views of the time that people take what they want to see, and if they are an authoritarian worldview person, they will make it an authoritarian worldview. If there's somebody who wants to talk about love and acceptance, they're going to find a way to interpret that way, and so it's just it's the people. It's not the book itself. A lot of atheists really like the book, and we need to talk about it. Yeah, everyone knows it's a shit book. Nobody reads it.
Yeah,
Right.
I think people should read it though.
Yeah, I tried. I can't.
I know, but I think everybody should read it.
I didn't even get to the offensive bits.
You know,
I just got bored.
just know that it is, like you said, it's ancient writing and it's all bullshit and all that. But it's a book that I think everyone should read, so that you have a frame of reference for other books.
Oh, literary.
From a literary
sense,
sense,
in a literary sense,
you do need it. Otherwise, there are some things in Shakespeare that aren't going to be straight for you. And
absolutely.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, you know how many episodes of The Simpsons didn't make sense to me until I watched a lot of older stuff? Like, I mean, it's not stuff that you shouldn't watch, but like, I never actually sat down and watched. Jesus, what's the mafia movie with Marlon
The
Brando?
Godfathers and Goodfellas.
Goodfellas?
Godfather.
Oh, okay.
I never sat down and watched Godfather until I was in my 20s, and
Oh.
all of a sudden,
There it
all
is.
of these
Yeah, all
pop
this-
culture references and jokes fucking suddenly make sense.
And
you know?
exactly, that's what I'm saying. Why you should read the Bible
Yeah.
is because it's referenced throughout literature. You know, I mean, even my guy Hunter Thompson. They asked him once, "Why do you quote the Bible so much?" He says, "I'm usually writing in hotel rooms, and it's there." You know, so
No, and it's true. You can't even in literature. There's often criticisms of the Bible, or validation and the messages they're trying to send. And a lot of times in literature, they reevaluate what we consider moralistic or something like that. But you're not going to understand that they're even challenging that. Thank you, Catholic school.
It was good for something.
I understand what the Bible actually
Well,
says.
I mean, okay, so it's good for two things: skirts and that. Yeah.
I wore a jumper. We didn't have skirts.
Oh, you had a jumper?
We had the jumper and the
that's
maroon
sad.
polo underneath.
Still works.
It's just a different level.
I never
But,
asked
yeah.
Gina if she had a skirt or a jumper. She went to St. Joe's.
I went to Blessed Sacrament.
Well, okay.
That's the one up in
never
Ogden,
forget.
isn't it?
St. Joe's?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
Mine was in Sandy, and I'll never
I don't
forget.
know.
Probably.
I actually saw my old Monsignor at the March for Our Lives, Salt Lake. Yeah, Monsignor Bob. Never forget him. He had a dog. He'd let her
Of
come
course,
play
he's
with us.
named Bob.
Yeah, Monsignor Bob. You know, my Lord Bob. That's literally what it translates to. And he was my favorite. He was very nice, and he had this dog, Sandy, that he'd let out, and we could play with her at recess, and that was fun. So, yeah. Like, not all Catholic school memories were bad.
Just 95% of them. Back to that number again.
And I'd get back to the news item, but we
Yeah.
already know how this goes. But we
Of
don't
course
really
we do.
I feel like
it
we
says
got
here
it.
the wording of the statement says that his wife didn't know about it. Yeah, of course, because you don't normally tell your wife when you're
Normally.
screwing around on the
Right.
You know, I mean, there are.
They were doing it together.
I appreciate the relationships where they're open enough to talk about stuff like that. Like,
Right.
I like watching House of Cards because I'm like, that is a working marriage right there. Those guys know what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah, they cooperate. Yeah.
But then you think about it and you're like, yeah, that's probably not like any relationship. You know?
It's
that would never
no,
happen.
yeah, it's not
Even our
realistic.
friends that are what the hell is it? Polyamorous. It's like,
Yeah.
I appreciate the fact that they can live that way. I honestly couldn't do that.
It wouldn't.
No,
it
I
wouldn't
don't.
work. Wouldn't
I'm
I
not
know
down.
my limitations.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
couldn't.
it's just way too much work.
Well,
That's
and,
way.
and back to the whole culture thing.
yeah.
I had, he shall remain nameless, a kid from Utah County come talk to me. He was looking for some advice, and he goes, what do you know about swinging? And I went, my eyes went, oh, okay. I'm like, why? You curious about this? And he goes, well, a lot of my friends are doing it. And I'm just curious because they want me, and the wife to join. I said, here's the experience that I have seen. I've not been a swinger, but here's what I have seen from the swinging community.
Yeah.
When that happens, usually somebody's enjoying themselves a little too much, and it sets the other spouse off.
Yeah.
It never ends well. Never. I've
Yeah.
never seen it succeed. I've never seen successful. I'm sure they're out there,
Yeah.
but it's just my personal experience. Never seen a swinging couple last.
Yeah, I'm about humans do pair bonding. There's a lot of evidence about that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we don't necessarily do lifelong pair bonding consistently. It fails about half the time.
About
Oh,
7
yeah,
years
yeah.
in. you
Yeah.
know.
About 7 years in, and about half
Funny,
the time it
funny,
fails.
funny. That
Unless, of
works.
course, you pair bond really young and get married really young, then it fails about 75% of the time.
Yeah.
But I think that there's value in really working on those deep relationships and connections. And I think that's really hard to do if you're romantically spreading that out. I just don't see, because I mean, we're not just all in a sex club where all of our day is just forming these bonds with different people. We've got jobs and we've got hobbies and we've got things we care about. Like, we don't have time.
I don't have time to fuck. I've got a podcast. to produce.
I don't have time. I don't have
God,
time
don't I
to
know it.
emotionally invest in multiple people like
Exactly.
that.
Yeah,
And
yeah. You're
there's-
not 16 and 17 forever.
Galaxy.